It was always going to plumb new depths, but the sheer volume of red ink washing over the federal budget has hit record levels. The cost of the pandemic shutdown and the government's response will pile up more than $260 billion in deficits by this time next year. The economic tallies in the Treasurer's latest update are all grim, from taxes gathered to growing unemployment queues by Christmas. National Affairs correspondent Greg Jennett reports from Parliament House.
No one needs numbers to tell when the heart of commerce stops beating. The vital signs are gone in lockdown central Melbourne. Economic life's receded from Victoria's capital, and as it goes, so goes the nation.
These harsh numbers reflect the harsh reality we face.
On the face of it, the numbers are brutal. The financial year that ended 24 days ago was not the $5 billion surplus last forecast. It was an $85 billion deficit. The one we're now in will wind up in 11 months, $184 billion down the hole.
These deficits reveal the real cost to the budget of protecting lives and livelihoods.
Deficits come from borrowings that build into a pile of debt. $488 billion now, a record $670 billion by June next year. The interest repayments alone, $16 billion a year.
The first surplus in more than a decade. As a result of...
Gone are the days of certainty decrying mountains of debt. In its place, only questions.
I ask you, what is the alternative?
Lots of them.
Are you suggesting that we shouldn't have provided the support we did?
Even with the $100 billion being spent to prop up workers,
unemployment would have been 5 percentage points higher.
By Christmas, unemployment will have peaked at 9.25%. It's what comes with recession. The shrinkage in the financial year just ended is deceptive. Put it into 2020 alone, and the record 3.75% contraction makes for one unforgettable annus horribilis.
Very, very confronting numbers. We now know the government expects 240,000 Australians to lose their job between now and Christmas.
History's echoes resonate through the cost COVID-19 is inflicting on the nation's finances. And although no Australian's seen the budget battered this badly in the 75 years since the world last went to war, the bills piling up now are still no match for what was encountered back then. When peace came, prosperity recovered in around 2 decades. It'll take a vaccine or a very solid economic reopening to beat that mark this time. Greg Jennett, ABC News, Canberra.
And the harsh economic reality of the pandemic could be even more severe than the Treasurer has laid out today. As Insider's host David Spears explains, a longer lockdown in Melbourne or further outbreaks will mean more debt and more unemployment.
The one thing we can say with certainty, today's budget forecasts are highly uncertain. Treasury is basing its assumptions on Melbourne's lockdown only lasting another 4 weeks. No more major outbreaks, and international borders reopening with quarantine measures in January. That may be wishful thinking. If restrictions drag on, the economy will be dragged down further. The government acknowledges this uncertainty, one of the reasons why it's not forecasting anything beyond this financial year. It's also trying to convince an electorate already stressed by the virus, the restrictions and their own job prospects not to worry about what it agrees are eye-watering levels of debt. This is all manageable, better than most other countries, and can be paid off over time. It's a far cry from the coalition railing against much lower levels of debt incurred by Labor during the global financial crisis. The reality is no one really knows how high debt will ultimately go. We're still in the midst of this crisis. And there are 2 numbers that matter far more right now. One is the number of unemployed, which is now expected to reach 1.2 million before Christmas. The government will need to clarify how it plans to support them beyond the end of the year, and how it plans to help generate new jobs in the economy. The other number that's even more crucial and underpins everything else is the daily count of new coronavirus cases, which remains uncomfortably high.